Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Moran and I'm here with River Brown, and this is now episode 114. In this episode, we are going to recap the biggest storylines of week 2, like Zach Wilson throwing 4 interceptions, teams that are 2-0, Justin Fields getting the start, and the plethora of injuries that happened on the week 2 games. Then we are going to finish off the show with NFL Pick'em Week 3, and a quick Patreon shout out to Ricky Bennett, Matthew Jimenez, Sean Solis, Sean, Devon McLaurin, Rice Family, John Pintavelli, Sean Triplett, Burner Hoops, Cat Stevens, Ben Mack, P. Dot, George Garcia, Hikari, Mateen, and Jay Aqua. The list keeps growing and growing. It might get to a point where we can't even name these before the show. We have 17 Patreons and one person subscribed via YouTube membership. So thank you guys so much for your support. We dropped the Patreon exclusive episode for you guys to enjoy, and we plan on doing that once or twice a month. And today, Drew is not here. He's going to be gone for 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, because right now he goes to nursing school and he has a bunch of exams coming up, so he's going to focus on that. So we'll try to have, a rotation of guests. We're thinking of bringing Jack on for a couple episodes, but he's been busy as well. JC could come back. We're going to find a third, and if it's not a third, it's just going to be me and Riv here talking and, debating. And we might just try to find a moderator so Riv and I can go at it and, we can debate like Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, even though Stephen A. kicked out Max. But most of the time when we bet, we aim for the stars, shoot for the dark, and hope our bet turns out correct. When you sign up with the Daily Stakes, that won't be the case. The Daily Stakes provides you with the same analytics used by professional sports bettors and sports books to give you the edge you need. You will have access to model projections, key stats, and confidence ratings so you can be educated with the bet you are making and feel comfortable with it. The Daily Stakes covers the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and the UFC. Another awesome feature the Daily Stakes has is that they host weekly contests that give you a chance to win an authentic sports jersey. And all you have to do is answer games that are going to be happening that current week. There are 3 types of memberships. The Sport Card membership gives you access to one league of your choosing and the features mentioned before for $14.99 a month. The All Sports plan gives you access to all leagues they cover, the features mentioned before, and the ability to have a one-on-one session with the Daily Stakes team to guide you on your betting needs for $29.99 a month. And if you aren't sure about which one to choose, you can try the All Sports trial, which is $6.99 a week, and it gives you all the features the All Sports plan offers outside of the one-on-one session and the ability to enter giveaways. If you are interested in any of these packages, you can get a 30% discount code when you use the code PICKASIDE at checkout. That is PICKASIDE, PICKASIDE at checkout. The link to the Daily Stakes website will be in our description box down below. This is going to be a great show. We're going to talk about the week 2 games that happened, recapping some of those games, the storylines behind those games. And the first thing that we should talk about, there are teams that are 2-0 right now that are starting 2-0. The Raiders, the Broncos, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals. Now, out of all of these teams that have started 2-0, which one is the most surprising to you?
Well, I think we could both agree. It's probably going to be the Raiders and the Panthers. I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about the Raiders, so I'm going to give a little love to the Panthers. I think coming into the season, trading for Sam Darnold, it was a lot of things on him. People in New York, they felt like he wasn't good. There was a lot of expectations with him coming to Carolina. Can he fix his career? And I think this year, the Jets, that was an easy win for them. Nonetheless, Sam Darnold still had to go in and play at least solid. He had to go in and perform, get them the W, and he did. He played good. He played better than what people expected. And then, week 2 going up against the Saints, I'm a bettor. The Saints were heavy favorites in that game. They were favorites to come out that game, especially.
I don't know why.
Well, based on how they beat down Green Bay, people were expecting them to come in, and dominate the Panthers. They go in, Carolina goes in. Sam Darnold plays phenomenal. Not only does Sam Darnold play phenomenal, the defense has been really good for the past 2 weeks. And I get it's the Jets, but I'm really solely looking at that Saints game where they only allowed them 7 points. James Winston, who was just coming off a 3+ TD week, didn't do much that week. So I got to give some love to Carolina because that offense, it has firepower. CMC, he's back. He's playing phenomenal. DJ Moore, he's looking like that consistent receiver he's been. Robbie Anderson hasn't gotten it going yet, but him and Darnold never really had chemistry. But I'm sure he'll get it going. That defense has been – they're number one in sacks. They're top 5 in interceptions, so they've been good defensively. So I got to give some love to Carolina because, they've been playing – as much as the Jets win doesn't look good, that Saints win looks really good.
I'm not surprised by Carolina in the slightest. In fact, I'm surprised that their defense is this good. And even then, I'm not very surprised because with the addition of Hassan Reddick, then drafting a J.C. Horn, I thought their defense was good. Last year, they ranked 17th, and they were very young. They were awful on third down. So getting more experience and better talent was just going to make them a better defense. But they beat the Jets. And they beat the Saints. I understand if the Saints were, betting favorites, but in reality, that week for the Saints was like hell. Half of their coaching staff didn't show up to the game. They had to travel to 3 different locations, and Marshawn Lattimore was out. Quan Alexander was out. I believe one of their offensive linemen was out. They were missing 7 starters in that game. So I'm not impressed by the fact that Carolina beat a broken down Saints team and a Jets team who is starting a rookie quarterback, and they're still trying to find their footing. And we'll talk about the Jets a little bit more later on. It has to be between the Raiders and Arizona. The Raiders starting out 2-0, beating legit teams, beating the Steelers, then beating the Ravens on week 1. Those are 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. Those teams are legit. Derek Carr, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Steelers, and he leads the NFL in passing yards right now, so that is very impressive to me. Then it has to be Arizona. Arizona dominated Tennessee week 1, a team that made the playoffs last season. Chandler Jones went off for 5 sacks. Then in week 2, they beat Minnesota, who I think is much improved, and even though that game was kind of controversial in how it ended because Greg Joseph missed a chip shot field goal basically to win the game, I think the Cardinals have looked exceptional on offense. Their defensive secondary has not been as bad as I thought it would be. And the Raiders have beaten legit teams. They have beaten legit teams. The Panthers, I can't say the same. The Saints week 1 looked legit.
Yes.
But missing 7 starters, half of your coaching staff is gone, not having much time to practice. I don't think the Panthers are really impressing me right now.
Well, speaking on Arizona, they started 2-0 last year, and they have the talent to beat both those teams they played. K1, we expected him to make a jump this year, bringing in that receiving core, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green. That's a good core. We expected Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt, although he hasn't gotten it going, to cause havoc. And Tennessee, that win was impressive because of the blowout. Obviously, everybody didn't expect that game to be a blowout. Minnesota, we kind of expected it to go. It could go either way. But Oakland, you're right about Oakland. They played 2 playoff caliber.
Las Vegas.
Thank you. Las Vegas. They played 2 playoff caliber teams. Some people view Baltimore as possibly a championship team. I don't, but some people do view them at. They played 2 teams that are one of the best in their conference, and they beat both teams. But you barked on the injuries to New Orleans, but you didn't speak on the injuries that Pittsburgh had. Why didn't you do that?
Speak on it.
Why didn't you do that?
No,
Big Ben was missing 3/4 of his defense. The whole defense barely played. TJ Watt, their main guy, didn't even play. And even still, Big Ben, he didn't look great, but he was all right for the most part. But their defense did not play that game. So why didn't you speak on that?
Speak on the players that didn't play. Minka was there.
TJ Watt wasn't there. I don't know
He's
every.
A game changer.
I don't know every, but their injury report was very long. It was very long, and they missed a lot of key contributors. The one guy I can mainly remember, of course, because
TJ Watt is a huge loss, of course. But even if you say that, the Raiders beating the Ravens is more impressive than anything Carolina has done. And I don't want to knock Carolina because I think they are a good young team, and I do like Sam Darnold. I hope he does succeed in Carolina. Even though I think he's not that great of a quarterback, I hope he does succeed in Carolina. But I just think the Raiders have been far more surprising. And out of these other teams, the Broncos, they beat the Giants and Jaguars. Is that very surprising? I don't think it is. The Buccaneers beating the Cowboys and Falcons. the Niners beating the Lions and Eagles, the Rams, the Bears and Colts. Like those teams, I expect for them to be 2-0. It's really about, for me, it's really about the Raiders and Cardinals. And I think if we're really picking one team, I think the Raiders have been the surprise team of the NFL. Now, can they keep it up is a real question, because I think Carolina can keep it up. Carolina has a fairly easy schedule moving forward. I mean, they face the Texans tomorrow on Thursday Night Football, and the Texans, we know they're not that great of a team, so that's probably 3-0 for Carolina right there. Their schedule isn't that hard, so they could get off to a real good and comfortable start in the NFC. And on to the next topic. There were a lot of injuries in week 2. I mean, Brandon Ingram, Eagles, tore his Achilles. Brandon Graham, yeah. I said Brandon Ingram. Yeah. Brandon Graham tore his Achilles. Jarvis Landry, MCL injury. He's on IR. Josie Jewell, linebacker for the Broncos, shoulder injury, out for the year. Bradley Chubb is out 8 to 10 weeks. Tua has broken ribs. We're not sure when he's going to come back. Andy Dalton, bone bruise. Now Fields is going to start. Carson Wentz, injuries to both of his ankles. He's questionable for Sunday. And Tyrod Taylor has a hamstring injury.
Big Ben is hurt too.
He's not going to play tomorrow night. And Big Ben is injured, but they're saying he's going to play, even with that injury. So which one of these injuries do you think means the most to their team and what they're trying to accomplish this season?
It's tough because Bradley Chubb is a very important injury because of the fact that he's so key. He's so key for their Denver's development and their defense, and because he's so young and they're waiting for him to take that superstar leap. Bradley Chubb is one of those guys where they were waiting for them young guys to make that leap. But I think, with them having the depth, I think they'll be okay with missing Bradley Chubb for a few weeks. But I think it got to be the QBs, Wentz and Tua, both teams who are planning to wants to make the playoffs. And I thought, even when I was watching the Colts-Rams game, I thought, the Colts was on their way. They could possibly win that game. They was definitely on a run. Carson Wentz, he was starting to look good, feel more comfortable. Pittman Jr. had the breakout game we wanted. Then he gets hurt. And I think that game he was already playing with a sprained ankle on the left one. Or I don't know which one it was, but he was already playing with the other sprained ankle. And then he got another one. And then, of course, Eason comes in, throws the pick. Game over. But I think Wentz was huge. It's going to be huge because they got Titans this week. And that's a rivalry game. And this division is still wide open for either team. So I think that's huge. And, of course, for Miami, Tua, you saw when Tua got out the game. It looked bad. He obviously has gained some good continuity with that offensive group. Him and Waddle have a little bit of chemistry. That team is starting to pick the pieces and get it together. Tua goes down. They look bad. Jacoby Brissett, he looked lost. I still think Jacoby Brissett is solid. He's an okay backup, but Tua is needed for them to make that playoff push, and that division is tough. New England's in there, and Buffalo's in there, so that's going to be a tough division.
Tua right now ranks as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, which is a low sample size because versus the Patriots and then the Bills, 1 for 4, then, he got injured. But he has ranked as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, and Jacoby Brissett came in and looked worse. And I'm not even high on Tua, but Jacoby Brissett came in and looked far worse. He does not look like the quarterback that I saw in Indianapolis. And granted, he was average in Indianapolis, but at least he was average. He looks bad right now. I think it has to be Carson Wentz or Jarvis Landry, these two injuries. I say Jarvis Landry because I think the leadership that he provides to the Browns is huge, and he is Baker's number one target. And when Odell is there with Baker, who, Odell hasn't played yet because he's still recovering from an injury, Baker's quarterback rating goes significantly down.
Well, Odell is expected to play this week.
Well, that's good. They're going to have him back. But Baker and Odell, they haven't quite clicked yet. Jarvis Landry, he's been that reliable target for Baker. And when Baker is forced to make plays and force the issue, he just is not a good quarterback. So I think that means a lot because it could bring down the Browns' offense significantly. But even I don't think it would do it too much because I think the running game is still elite. They're the best running football team in the NFL. I can argue it. So I'm not too worried about that. But it has to be this Carson Wentz injury because at least the Dolphins have Jacoby Brissett, who even though I don't think he's very good anymore, he's still okay. He's a serviceable backup. The Colts have Jacob Eason. I mean, the Colts had a chance to win the game, and Jacob Eason throws a pick. Jacob Eason is not ready to play, and Sam Ehlinger, I don't think, has an NFL arm, and he's a rookie. It's a tough spot to put him in. So because of that, I think it's this Carson Wentz injury, and you're right. Carson Wentz, because the Colts have started 0-2, fans and people in the media have talked about Wentz and said that, oh, look, he's not doing anything for the Colts. But listen, week 2 versus the Rams, he showed a lot of fight. He had some blunders like the pass that got intercepted by a defensive lineman, but
that was crazy though.
Yeah, but he showed a lot of heart, and I think Carson Wentz played fairly well in that game. And if he would have kept playing, I think the Colts probably win that game if he's still in there. So I think Carson Wentz is the biggest loss of them all. But all these guys, it makes a huge impact. Bradley Chubb having that great edge rusher opposite to Von Miller is huge, and he's going to be gone 8 to 10 weeks, so their pass rush is going to take a big hit. Then Brandon Graham, now the Eagles are asking more out of Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett and these other young guys, so they're going to have to step up. So these are major injuries, and Tyrod Taylor, he doesn't get spoken about enough, but right now he is at the top of the NFL in terms of QBR.
I'm the thing why I didn't say anything with Tyrod because I expect them to fall down to earth eventually. The Texans, I expect them to do that. But at the same time, you're right. All these players with all these injuries, it's tough because, like you said, Jarvis Landry. I think Cleveland has the depth to maintain that. I think Schwartz can step up. The 2 tight ends, Hooper and Njoku, they looked good week 1. I think they'll be okay. Odell is coming back, and like you said, they have one of the best. They have one of the best running duos, if not the best running duo in the league in Hunt and Chubb. They have one of the best running games in the NFL. So they're going to be fine. Baker Mayfield is solid. So they're going to be good regardless. Bradley Chubb, it's going to be tough because that elite rusher opposite side of Von Miller is huge for that defense, and that defense predicates himself on that defensive line and getting to that quarterback. But like you said, the QB, it's important. And Colts being 0-2, people, like you said, people love to jump on them, but look at the 2 teams they played. You know what I'm saying? And even last week against the Rams, that was a fight. The game was really good. Wentz goes out. They're going to need him back to play this week. If not this week, they're going to need him for the season if they want to make the playoffs.
I agree with you saying that Tyrod Taylor was eventually going to come back down to earth. But the reality is that with Tyrod, I think the Texans are a competitive team without him. So with Davis Mills now, I don't think Davis Mills is going to hold them afloat. Like, for example, tomorrow they face Carolina. With Tyrod Taylor, I think they could upset Carolina.
Oh.
They can give them a fight.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they can. With Davis Mills, I think it's going to be a blowout. With Tyrod Taylor, I at least think he can keep them afloat.
He has been playing
versus Cleveland, they were kept afloat. They were winning at one point against Cleveland with Tyrod. Then Davis Mills comes in, he plays like a rookie. You know what I'm saying? So I think Tyrod, he's getting slept on, man. He's a good quarterback. And another quarterback that shocked everybody on Sunday night was Lamar Jackson. Finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Finally got over that hump. There have been times before where he has come close, but he's never quite done it. But he has just now beat the Chiefs. Finally. And there's been a lot of talk in the offseason about the league figuring out Lamar Jackson. That was a hot topic in the offseason. There's talk about him not being able to come from behind and win games. He did that on Sunday night. So Lamar has continuously proved people wrong. Now, has he been underrated as of recently? Do you think people are underrating Lamar Jackson? Because not too long ago, people were saying Kyler Murray is better than him, and Lamar is an MVP. And I think now it's much more of a debate. But has he been underrated?
Well, first, I'm taking K1. I'm sorry. He has the Lamar running ability with a Russell Wilson arm. You can't teach that. I think Lamar, the problem with Lamar is we know the running game. We know he's going to be elite in the running game. We know he can affect the game so much with his feet. The problem with Lamar, and it's always been with Lamar, is his accuracy. Sometimes his inconsistency with his arm. And even with the Chiefs, you watched the game, you saw it in that game, his inconsistency with his arm. Sometimes he underthrows, overthrows, or he doesn't make the right reads. Yes, he won the game, and let's really be honest, the Chiefs fumbling that ball at the end was ridiculous. I don't even know what happened. But, yes, Lamar did his thing. He finally came up clutch with his feet. I think him winning MVP, people didn't – we appreciate Lamar. We know who Lamar is. He's a top 70 quarterback in the NFL. But I think what people are waiting for is for him to beat you with his arm. And I think he didn't necessarily – he played well, but I think with the Chiefs, he really beat them with his feet. And I think that's what we're waiting for, especially based off that last playoff game. You know, in the playoffs, he has been seen being bad with his arm, even though the numbers may look differently if you watch the game and watch the tape. He hasn't looked great with his arm. I think his running is what keeps him in the race, but I think that's always going to be a narrative for him until he fixes that narrative.
Lamar Jackson is not underrated, not in the slightest. There was a point in time where he shocked the world and he won MVP.
He shocked you.
And that offense was explosive. I mean, he shocked me most definitely, but I think what's happening now with Lamar and what happened last year when he came down to earth and in the playoffs when we saw it, he proved me right about what I said about him, that he can't win games with his arm. And at times it shows up. You know, yesterday I think he won the game more with – on Sunday he won the game more with his legs than with his arms. He did throw 2 interceptions, had 1 touchdown.
One of them was bad.
It was that 4th and 1 that won him the game, him using his legs. They wasn't calling a short pass. It was Lamar, run it, you're going to get us the first down. And I applaud him for that. But 2019 – his MVP season, 36 touchdowns, 3,127 yards, 1,206 rushing yards, and 7 rushing TDs. So he had 43 touchdowns in total. Now in 2020, passing yards decreased by 300 yards. He had 10 less touchdowns, 3 more interceptions, and 1 more fumble. And now this year, he's not off to a great start. You know, losing to the Raiders, then throwing 2 picks against Kansas City. If it had not been for Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble, the Chiefs probably win that game with Harrison Butker's legs. He's one of the best kickers in the NFL.
Didn't Lamar fumble at the end of the Raiders game to lose that game?
Yeah, he did. Carl Nassib strip sacked him.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, we know he's universally recognized as a great QB, but when we cultivate our top 8 quarterback lists, he's the first one that's going to be gone. There's no way around it. He's the first one that's going to be gone. Mahomes, we know, is better than Lamar. Rodgers is better. Wilson is better. Josh Allen in 2019 wasn't better, but now in 2020, we recognize Josh Allen as a better quarterback than Lamar. Tom Brady, that's 5 right there. You just said it. You'd rather have Kyler Murray. That's 6. What about these young quarterbacks that are coming in? What about Justin Herbert? This is what I'm saying. Justin Herbert, whose spot is he going to take on the top 8? It's either going to be Lamar Jackson or a Dak Prescott. And then, would you take Dak Prescott or Lamar Jackson? And now that gets tricky. That gets tricky, but it really depends on what you want. I think a lot of people would take Dak Prescott over Lamar Jackson.
It depends on the O. You know, it depends on the system. It depends on the team. I think, obviously, in a Dallas system, you wouldn't want Lamar in that system. You want Dak throwing the ball because of CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. And people love to say this thing, you know, oh, the Ravens don't have receivers, right? That's the narrative. But I feel like a lot of the times when he's throwing the ball has nothing to do with his receivers. It's him being inaccurate. I think an elite receiver would be unhappy in Baltimore because of the fact that they run the ball so much and their quarterback can't hit them in the spots they want to.
That's a good point, but I dispute it because I think Lamar with an elite receiver, I think it would look a bit different. I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt. But like I'm saying, when we think about Lamar Jackson, we talk about top quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson is the first one that's going to be off of those lists.
Would you take Stafford over him right now?
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
What about, I'm trying to think, QBs.
Ryan Tannehill?
No, I don't think you'd take Ryan.
Would you take Derek Carr over Lamar Jackson?
No. Nah. I feel like Derek Carr's in that Stafford talk, in that Stafford tier.
No, he is too. That's what I'm saying. Lamar Jackson, I think, I think
he's above them.
He's undisputedly a top 10 quarterback. And I would even say top 8 quarterback in the NFL. But as these younger quarterbacks come in and Lamar Jackson, his play style starts to wear on him a little bit more, now we're going to see him really slip. Because I think there is a correlation between these running quarterbacks and career trajectory. Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Cam Newton. Cam Newton 2015 was on top of the world. Lamar Jackson 2019 was on top of the world, MVP. Cam Newton, it only took him about 3 years after 2015 to totally drop off and us not recognize him as a great quarterback anymore. A lot of that was due to injuries.
I think you got to be specific. Athletic QBs with an inaccurate arm. Because Russell Wilson is still in the game doing what he does because he can run the ball, but he's also can beat you with his arm.
But this is to my point. This is what I'm going to say. 2015 Cam MVP was on top of the world. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too far until he dropped off.
Yep.
So 2015 Cam MVP around 2018, 2019, around 2018, 2019, he dropped off significantly. And now he's not even on a team. That took, 3 to 4 years?
Something like that.
So my prediction is that 2019 Lamar Jackson MVP, I think by the year 2023, Lamar Jackson won't be a top 15 quarterback anymore.
Oh, so you still think he'll be on a roster?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But I just don't. I don't think he's going to be a top 15 quarterback. And Baltimore thus far has shown a hesitancy to pay Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They have not openly said, you can get everything. They have not done that yet. Josh Allen got the bag. He's not an MVP, but he got the bag. So I do think there's a little bit of doubt with Lamar Jackson's play style because he does play physical, and that can wear on you faster than other play styles. And his arm is still in question at times. Even though he does have great moments, it still is in question. So even though he beat Kansas City, I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson just yet.
Me either.
I think everybody is thinking that he's going to prove everybody wrong and win these Super Bowls. And, it was a big step for him last year to win a playoff game against Tennessee. But even in that game, I felt like Tennessee they left their foot off the gas. Ryan Tannehill was playing great, passing the ball. They tried to force feed Derrick Henry. So I think they put their foot off the gas a little bit. But I do think Lamar Jackson has a lot to prove, and I'm not sold on where I see his career going. He could prove me wrong. He's done it before. I mean, I said Darnold was better than him.
Did you really?
Yeah. I mean, when he was on the Jets, I did say it, but you never know. I mean, right now,
don't do it.
Right now, no. I'm being honest. So, in 2019, Josh Allen was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar was MVP. We all said Lamar was better than Josh Allen. Lamar was the best quarterback in the 2018 class, undisputedly. Now it's between Josh Allen and Lamar, and I would take Josh Allen. Now that Sam Darnold is in Carolina,
it's looking good for him.
If he plays this good, I don't think we're too far away from a conversation of would you rather take Sam Darnold or Lamar Jackson? Quite honestly.
I'll take.
Because 2012 quarterback class, Andrew Luck goes 1. Second is RG3. Ryan Tannehill was in that draft class.
Wow.
It wasn't until 5 to 6 years later until we said, you know what, Ryan Tannehill became the best out of all of them. Not over Andrew Luck because, Luck retired, but
over RG3.
Nobody thought he was going to be better than RG3. Kirk Cousins was in that draft class as well.
He's also better than RG3.
And, so nobody thought that, and it happened. So I'm just saying we might not be too far away from saying Sam Darnold. We'd rather have him over Lamar Jackson. It could happen a couple of years from now.
That's crazy. Hot take.
The Titans beat the Seahawks in a thrilling overtime game, and Derrick Henry went off again. Derrick Henry, it seems like he does this almost all the time. It's routine for him.
Yep.
I mean, since he's gone to the NFL, he's gotten so much better every single season. In 2018, had 1,000 rushing yards. In 2019, had 1,500 rushing yards. And then in 2020, he has 2,000 rushing yards, and he has upped his touchdown total each and every season. And versus Seattle, he had 35 attempts, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 55 receiving yards. So over 200 yards in that game in total. And most of this came in the second half when Tennessee made that comeback to beat Seattle. Do you think Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I think, and you know what's funny? My boy gambled on that game, and he gambled on Derrick Henry to get 2 TDs. In the first half, Derrick Henry was playing like shit, man. He had like 40 yards. He had no touchdowns. They was getting smoked. And then I checked later, and I'm just like, oh, wow, 186, 3 TDs. Like, he just bugged in the second half. I think what he's been doing the last 3 years is Adrian Peterson, like, just dominating the NFL with his legs, running through defenses. No matter who's his offensive line, no matter who's he playing against, he's just doing dominant things, you know. And the way he's running through people, running over, it's just a dominant. Like, he's just giving me Adrian Peterson vibes back in the day. I think you can argue CMC because of his, you know, his pass catching ability. I think some people could argue Chubb because they're kind of similar in that style. But over the last 3 years, the numbers, the statistics, and the fact that he's winning all in that, I think Derrick Henry is easily the number 1 running back right now.
There are so many great running backs. Dalvin Cook, CMC, Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb is averaging damn near 7 yards per carry. He's on another level, but his offensive line is elite. Amazing. It's elite. It's way better than Tennessee's. I don't think I've ever seen a running back like Derrick Henry. You mentioned Adrian Peterson, but I don't think AP ever had a stretch as dominant as what I'm seeing from Henry right now.
I think so either.
You know, because Peterson had the 2,000 yards after tearing his ACL, I believe. Amazing comeback season. But he never had a year where he went 1,500 yards rushing, then 2,000 the very next year.
Yep.
And AP never had the playoff performances that Derrick Henry is having or has had as of right now. Like, Derrick Henry has put the Titans on his back to win 2 playoff games. I mean, that's something that I didn't see AP do. I mean, I think when we talk about running backs in the last decade, Derrick Henry to me stands out as the best. And you said it. CMC could be in the conversation because of his versatility, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But at the same time, I just don't think CMC is the runner that Derrick Henry is. And even though Christian McCaffrey is as good as a route runner as any slot receiver in the NFL, I do think Derrick Henry can pass catch if Tennessee allowed him to do more of it. I mean, right now, he's on pace to break his receiving yards from last year in the next 2 games. He's on pace to break that. So this year we could see Derrick Henry be much more of a pass catcher. So I don't think there's running back close to Derrick Henry. I just haven't seen a guy like this. Dalvin Cook, he's elusive. He's fast as hell. But Derrick Henry is fast as hell, and he's just a tank.
He's a grown man.
He's just a tank. And CMC, you know, versatility, I get it. Nick Chubb, he is like a mini version of Derrick Henry. You know, I think he runs just as hard, but he's just not as big and strong. So I think it's undoubtedly Derrick Henry. He's the best running back in the NFL. I don't think there's any debate about it because what this guy's doing right now is otherworldly.
How long do you think he's the last with this ability, though? How old is he right now? 26, 27?
Yeah, he's around there.
So he got about, what the running back clock is 30? You think he can continue on this trend until he's about 30, 31? Because he's putting up ridiculous numbers.
I think he can as long as he doesn't mess himself over, you know, because, and I mean that by saying, you know, Le'Veon Bell was on pace to be one of the best running backs we've ever seen.
Yep.
But because he sat out, because he went to the Jets, which was a bad situation for him, he messed his career up. He messed that trajectory up. If Le'Veon Bell had stayed in Pittsburgh, we're talking about him completely different. Derrick Henry, as long as he stays in Tennessee, I think he will continue to do what he's doing. And Tennessee has to continue to build up that offensive line because I think as Henry gets older, he is going to diminish because he's not going to be as fast. So because of that, you need to have that great offensive line behind him or in front of him. But I think Derrick Henry at 30 is going to look like Brandon Jacobs. And I think Brandon Jacobs, even past 30, was a pretty damn good running back. So I think he'll look similarly to Brandon Jacobs at 30.
And where do you see him going down into the hole of running backs? Like, where do you see his ranking?
He's a top 5 running back of all time.
This fast?
I think he is. This stretch that he's going on, I think he's a top 5. I mean, I could think of Jim Brown, but even Jim Brown, like the accomplishments are there. But in terms of just looking at both of them as human, you just see Derrick Henry. He just looks like a completely different other beast. Like he just looks so much better. But you know, who could you put in front of him? You know,
LT. I think you got to put
LaDainian Tomlinson. I think is definitely
Walter
up there.
Payton,
Walter Payton, Jim Brown, Barry Sanders. So who would be that 5th?
I thought it would be. Remember we was talking about the other day when I said AP was 5, and then you was like, I'm missing somebody. But I can't put my name on it. I mean, for me, it would have been.
It was Jim Brown.
Oh, it was Jim Brown?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because Henry would probably be 5. I think those 4 guys are undisputedly right there.
I mean, it is between AP and Derrick Henry if they were to, fight for that spot.
Yeah. Wait, what about what's the name from Dallas?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. What about him? What's his name? I forgot his damn name.
He played on the Arizona Cardinals like his final years in the NFL.
Is it Emmett?
Emmitt Smith.
There we go.
I think Emmitt Smith probably is over Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
too.
all right, there it is.
I mean, definitely he would go down as a top 10 running back of all time.
No, I think he's already that. Like he's already 6 or 7. You could probably put AP maybe, but if not AP, those are the 5 guys, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing what he's doing right now. So talking about this game that they have against the Colts, you think they win that game?
I think if Wentz doesn't play, yeah. I think because you looked at Eason, he just looked scared to play football. I think the Colts defense they were starting to figure it out too. Everything started to click late for them, but if Wentz doesn't play, it's going to be tough. I mean, Tennessee, that offense started to click too in week 2. Julio and Tannehill started to connect. A.J. Brown still trying to figure it out, but Derrick Henry started to click. So it's tough, but I say if Wentz plays, I'm going to keep riding this Colts wave until they get a W.
Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee too. I think same thing, same reasoning. If Carson Wentz doesn't play, I don't see them winning. If Wentz plays, I think they'll win because they desperately need a win right now.
They're desperate right now.
But Jacob Eason, out of college, I wasn't high on him.
For real?
Yeah, I wasn't high on him because he has a really good arm, but no touch, accuracy's all over the place.
What college did he go to?
He went to Washington. But before that, he was at Georgia. So he transferred. He transferred from Georgia to Washington because he got beat out by Jake Fromm.
So did Fields.
Yeah.
Wow. So he beat both of those guys out.
Yeah. And he's much more physically limited than both of them, but he did beat them out. My surprise team coming into the year, this season, was the Minnesota Vikings. I had a few. I had the Vikings, the Eagles were my late pick.
Yep.
The Vikings right now are 0-2. They're off to an 0-2 start. The Lions are 0-2. The Bears are 0-2.
No, they're 1-1.
The Bears, you're right.
They beat the Bengals.
The Bears are 1-1, and the Packers are 1-1 as well. Now, I'm not discouraged about these losses. And I think if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan watching this, you shouldn't be worried about this 0-2 start because both losses have been on last-second plays. I mean, week 1 against the Bengals, McPherson hitting that game-winning field goal on basically the only reason why that field goal even happened was because they called a fumble on Dalvin Cook. And what my eyes told me about that replay was that it was not a fumble. I did not think it was a fumble, but they called it a fumble anyway. Bengals win the game off a last-second field goal. They win. Then week 2, they face Arizona. Now, I was surprised because I thought this game, after what I saw Arizona do to Tennessee, I thought this game was going to look much worse. But the Vikings' offensive line held up. They played pretty good. They had a chance to win the game. Greg Joseph, who had hit 2 50-yard field goals in that game, has the chance to hit the game-winning field goal, 34-yard kick, and he misses. So the Vikings have lost both of their games off of last-second field goals. One of them, the opposing team kicked it and made it. And then the second one, their own kicker missed it and lost the game. But I think all signs point to the Vikings resurging past these blunders.
I'm glad you said that, because let me ask you a question. They got Seattle
That's
week
a win.
3, and they got Cleveland week 4.
I'm not
a chance they can go on 4, though.
Jarvis Landry.
Well, that's week 4. There is a chance this team can go 0-4.
Jarvis Landry's on IR. I don't think he's going to be there for week 4.
Are you scared of these games right now? Because they're just like Indianapolis. They're desperate. And they need
no
a win.
doubt. Look, they're going to beat Seattle.
Okay.
They're going to beat Seattle, and Dalvin Cook is playing too. And last year, they almost beat Seattle, and Dalvin Cook didn't play. Dalvin Cook is going to be the difference. They're going to win that game. Week 4, nobody is scared of Cleveland and Baker Mayfield. Let's just be honest. Kevin Stefanski's a hell of a coach. The Browns were supposed to have a good defense, but they're not a good defense. They're a bottom 20 pass defense. They're like the 11th run defense, and overall they're a bottom 20 defense in terms of points given up. Mm-hmm. So thus far they are not a good defense. These free agent moves have not paid off for them. I think they win those next 2 games, and they are 2-2. Then after that, I think one of those games is Detroit. That's 3-2.
And then Carolina.
They beat Carolina too. I think the Panthers. I think the Panthers are good, but I think as of right now they haven't faced a real test.
After that bye, they see Dallas, Baltimore, Chargers.
Dallas is a win.
That's a tough. And then Green Bay, they get the Green Bay.
They'll split with them.
San Fran that's a tough.
I'm just saying I'm not losing. Bro. I'm not losing faith in Minnesota. And week 1, 11 penalties for 100+ yards in the first half. They still almost won. Second half, they came alive. Their offense started to click. And there's a lot of bright spots on this 0-2 team. First of all, KJ Osborne, their third wide receiver, is lights out. I mean, it feels like he's the guy Kirk Cousins goes to in late game situations. He has been lightning in the bottle for them. He's been amazing. Their defensive line has been good. Danielle Hunter had 3 sacks last game. Nick Vigil, pick 6 last game. Their linebacking core has been good as well. But the down spots, their defense ranks 27th in the league. I mean, Mike Zimmer is supposed to be a defensive head coach, and they ranked 27th so far. Last year, they ranked 29th. And they made all these additions, and it's not showing up. Mike Zimmer's clock management also is a downside. And if there's one thing that's going to cost the Vikings this year is Mike Zimmer's stubbornness and inability to take accountability. Each post-game press conference, he's out there not taking the blame for himself. He's not, taking the blame for his clock management skills. He's always deflecting. He's not responsible for his actions, and I think Minnesota Vikings fans are tired of it right now. It's really, I think the Vikings will come back and they'll be in that playoff race, and I think they will make the playoffs, even when the division it's still early in the season. Yep. But I will say this, if you're a Vikings fan listening, it's really about what you want, right? Because if the Vikings go on a run and they make the playoffs, Mike Zimmer is staying. There's no way he gets fired after making the playoffs. But if the Vikings have another down year, like it looks like it's trending that way right now, and Mike Zimmer's defense underperforms again, he's getting fired. There's no doubt that this is his last year in Minnesota. He might get fired mid-season at this point. So it's really about, if you're a Vikings fan, is it time Mike Zimmer goes, or do you want to win and Mike Zimmer potentially stays as head coach next year? That's really, what it comes down to now.
I mean, I'm not discouraged, because looking at the schedule, this is a tough schedule. You got Pittsburgh on here, you got the Rams on here, Green Bay twice, Dallas. You've seen Arizona already, Seattle, Cleveland, like I said. So I'm not discouraged, though, because Minnesota has the team to beat all these teams. They are from top to bottom, a really solid roster. With that Cleveland game, though, it was just like a completely different switch on that offense. First half, they looked great, like you said. And then the second half, the offense scored 7 points.
Cincinnati.
No. I'm talking about Arizona.
Oh, you said Cleveland.
Sorry, pardon me. I'm talking about Arizona. They didn't. I said Arizona, Minnesota. Pardon me. I'm talking about Minnesota. There we go. That offense completely in the first half looked great, and then in the second half kind of didn't click the way it did. Arizona made some great adjustments at halftime. But like you said, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne starting to get it going. Adam Thielen, he's the perfect third receiver for those two guys because those two guys are going to get all the attention and Osborne's going to get open. And then that defense, it has some names. Like you said, Daniel Hunter, Eric Kendricks is out there, Harris Smith. It has some names. It just hasn't played to that ability yet. But I'm not discouraged because this team is strong, this team is healthy, and this team has a lot of talent. And like you said, Seattle's coming up. I think they will beat Seattle. I think this is a bad matchup for Seattle. I think Minnesota, like you said, if Mike Zimmer can stop being stubborn, and if they can just click on defense like they should, then I think they can beat Seattle handily, honestly.
I mean, it's right now, Minnesota's problem is the secondary, which is crazy because they signed Peterson.
He looks terrible.
They signed Bashar Breeland and Mackenzie Alexander as well. I thought it would be much better. But Rondale Moore has over 100 yards on you, a rookie. I think he's good, but
he's 5'7".
I think he's good, but for him to have 100 yards on your defense, there's a problem there in itself. The defensive line is fine. Danielle Hunter played great last game. The game before that, Michael Pierce had 2 sacks. You still have Dalvin Tomlinson, and even on the other side, DJ Windham is not too bad. Eric Kendricks, Nick Vigil, they played fantastic. That front seven is good. It's really about that back end, and they have to hold up. And against Seattle, Tyler Lockett, DK, it's a big task, but those are really their only 2 guys.
Lockett has looked amazing.
Yeah, Lockett has been on fire. But those are really their only 2 guys. If you can stop them, if you can minimize even Lockett, I think they'll be fine because Gerald Everett is not much of a threat. And their third receiver, Freddie Swain, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not really worried about that. So they have to hone in on those guys and try to stop them. But I do think they'll beat Seattle this weekend, and they will be 1-2 and then go on this run.
I think the problem with the matchup with Seattle is the fact that Lockett, like you said, has been amazing, but Patrick Peterson doesn't seem to know how to guard receivers anymore. And this is going to be a matchup problem on the right and left side because you have DK, who is a physical, strong receiver that can go over the top, and then you have Tyler Lockett, who could virtually do anything on that field. This front seven has to have a game this week because I think that secondary could haunt them, and Russell Wilson could completely shatter and destroy that secondary.
Yeah, it could happen. But I think Kirk Cousins can do the same.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins has not thrown a pick this season.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to blame Kirk Cousins for everything, but he's thrown 5 touchdowns, 0 picks this season. He's even on a better pace to play than he played last season, and he was amazing last season. So Kirk Cousins has been good. I think the Vikings will click, but this is a wait and see. And obviously, after Sunday, we'll talk about what happened, and we'll talk about whether the Vikings did, in fact, go 1-2 or they are now 0-3, which I think at 0-3, now there is some cause to be really concerned, but not right now.
You know the narrative. When the quarterback doesn't win, even if it's their fault or not, they're going to get the blame. It always happens.
There's no doubt about that. Next game I want to talk about is the LA Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, after this game finished, I was watching parts of this game, but, on Sunday I was fairly busy because it was my brother's birthday. We went out to eat at that time. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
How old is he now?
He's 25.
Oh, tough.
Yeah, he's 25. 3 years older than me. So, I went to, go out to eat with my brother and my fam, so I didn't get to see this game. But looking at what everybody was saying on Twitter was that the referees called the Chargers this game. Then I went back and I saw the game, and 3 plays stood out. 2 touchdowns were called back on the Chargers. One of them was a holding call. The other one was like a false alignment call, an illegal motion. And another play that stood out was Micah Parsons' sack on Justin Herbert. Herbert threw it away, but they called a sack on Micah, basically, and then that moved the Chargers from being inside the 10-yard line to now being at like the 20, and now it's impossible to, even make a play on that. So the referees definitely played a part, but I think Tony Pollard in this game was amazing. And right now, PFF has him graded as the best running back in the NFL.
Really?
He has the highest grade in the NFL, Tony Pollard.
Wow.
And
I don't like PFF. I don't like that. Tony Pollard is rated the best running back.
I mean, he's been really efficient in his carries. And I honestly think he looks better than Zeke when he's out there.
Yeah.
That's just me. But, Tony Pollard was amazing. Dak Prescott didn't play his best game. But the Chargers, I think, they played very well. The defense was good. Asante Samuel Jr. taken from his father. And this guy is a ball hawk already. He's very good.
Philly pride.
And Justin Herbert didn't play his best game. He had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, so he didn't play his best game. But Mike Williams, he's finally getting those targets. And 2 games in, he has 7+ receptions in each of them, and he's been a focal point in their offense. And that's what Joe Lombardi said he was going to be. So instead of talking about this Dallas game, though, I want to talk about this matchup they have this Sunday because they're facing the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams are 1-1. You got the Raiders and the Broncos in your division. They're both 2-0. So the winner of this game is still probably going to be third in the division. But the loser is going to be in last place. And this division does look tough. The Raiders have an easy schedule going forward. The Chiefs have it easy. The Broncos so-so. But the Chargers' schedule going forward is difficult. So who do you think wins this Sunday? It's at Arrowhead.
I got to go with the Chiefs. I think right now, the Chargers haven't looked like that offensive firepower that I thought they looked like. Granted, they play Washington the first week. That's a tough defense. But Dallas's defense, I thought this would be a shootout. I thought Dak and, Herbert would impose their will and have a shootout. Maybe I was going to see 20+, 30 points this game. But it was a low-scoring game. And Chargers fans are going to blame the game on the turnovers and the penalties. They had 8 penalties in the second half, 12 for the game. Herbert threw some bad interceptions. Against the Chiefs, you can't make too many mistakes, and you have to go out and you have to score against the Chiefs. And I think the Chargers haven't really been in a position where they look like their offense is on fire or they're going to go out there and guns blazing. So I think I got Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think right now, the way they lost last week, they're upset. And they're going to come back with a vengeance, and I think they're going to go on a tear. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
The Chiefs can be upset all they want. But the reality is that through 2 weeks against Cleveland and then against Baltimore, their defense has been a problem.
Yep.
Their defense has not been good. And I think Dallas, I agree. I expect the Chargers to score much more. But moving Micah to defensive end, I think changed a lot of that because Brian Bulaga couldn't hold up. I mean, Micah was rated as the best edge rusher last week, according to PFF.
Yep.
Brian Bulaga, 2 weeks in a row, he's getting dominated in his matchup. And Trayvon Diggs, a guy who is honestly turning into a stout corner. I mean, he's a ball hawk. He's very good. So I wasn't very surprised because, whenever you have great edge rushers, it's going to kind of throw off the offense a little bit. But I have a feeling that the Chargers are going to upset the Chiefs. I just have a feeling, and I think they have to.
Yep.
Because the Chargers' schedule going forward is insanely tough. Just to read off their schedule, the Chargers' schedule, after this game against the Chiefs, they face the Raiders, then the Browns, then the Ravens, then the Patriots, then the Eagles. I don't think any of those games are push-over games. So they need this win badly. And the Chiefs, I think their defense, and at least the Chiefs as a team as a whole, they've shown they have a weakness. They don't have the corners to defend these elite receivers. So how is Keenan Allen going to fare against a LeJarris Sneed or Mike Williams how good is he going to be? I think they're going to be great. Jared Cook Jr. has looked good as well. Then Austin Eckler out of the backfield. I think they're going to put up a lot of points on the Chiefs. And last year, they almost beat them. Justin Herbert gets to start last second basically, and puts on a show and almost beats the Chiefs. I think the Chargers get the upset this game. And I do think they'll still split.
Yep.
But I just think right now the Chargers are more desperate for a win because the Chiefs' schedule after this game is pretty much a cakewalk. But I think the Chargers, it's not. So they need to win this game to build some momentum going forward.
Do you trust that secondary against Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? This young secondary, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James is back, so that's good for them, and Chris Harris Jr. Do you trust them?
I do trust them. I think their defense has not been the problem. They did pretty good against CD. They did pretty good against Dallas.
Just a different beast, though.
It is. There's no doubt. But I think you can take a page out of the Ravens playbook and how they guarded Tyreek Hill. And the Chargers, I just really believe in Brandon Staley as a coach. And I think thus far he's shown his ability to be a good defensive play caller. And I don't think that's going to be their problem. Their problem is going to be putting up points. And I don't think that's a problem. Against the Chiefs defense, I don't think it's a problem.
I think, it's funny that you said that because edges cause a concern, and Trayvon Diggs has looked good. Micah Parsons, he's looked good. With the Chiefs, they still got Chris Jones, who can still dominate that line. He can still, make a mark on the game. Tyrann Mathieu, he's still out there. I know that secondary hasn't looked good, but it has potential to get it clicking eventually. So I just, the Chiefs defense is still a question mark, but at the same time, they can get it clicking at any moment. So it's going to be tough for the Chargers, but I feel like this game is going to be a shootout. I think this is the game where Justin Herbert and his squad figures it out, and, Mahomes go do what they do. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win, but I got Mahomes.
This division is shaping out in a way that I thought it wouldn't shape out.
Yep.
The Raiders are 2-0. They could come back down to earth. We're not sure yet. The Broncos are 2-0. The Chiefs and the Chargers right now are on the outside looking in. And the Chiefs, because they've been to 2 straight Super Bowls, I trust in them to figure it out and eventually get back on top. But the Chargers, they have to prove that.
Yep.
And I think this is a huge test for them this Sunday. We'll see if they win. I think it's going to be a great game. But I do think the Chargers will pull away with the win and get the upset. Now, I was upset Sunday because
talk about it because you went to the game, right? Yeah, talk about that experience. How did that go?
I went to the Jets game. I was running late, but I could hear the energy of the crowd from a mile away. Jets fans were excited. My family, we was excited. So I was at the game. I went and I had great seats. I had a 200 concourse level seats.
You was by yourself?
Nah, I was with 4 people.
Okay. So
it's like we were like in the suites, so it was pretty dope. Had good seats right in the middle. Had like an all 22 view of the film. Of the field. It was a great view. And, first play, I see Zach Wilson and the Jets drop back. It's a run. Okay, I've seen it before. Then on Zach Wilson's first pass attempt, I see it gets intercepted. The crowd, they go silent, but there's enthusiasm still like, okay, he's a rookie. It's fine, whatever. Second pass attempt, intercepted. Now the crowd is like, we've seen this before. After the third one, everybody just goes silent. Then after the fourth one, they start booing. Nobody's even
people that start leaving. They were still in there.
A lot of people left, but not that many. Not that many left. But yeah, it was a a bad experience for me as a Jets fan. But to remove emotion aside out of this, I think the first interception to Corey Davis, a rusher was in Zach Wilson's face. He threw the ball to Corey because he trusted him to make that catch. He had one-on-one coverage with J.C. Jackson. An elite receiver makes that catch. That's what I'm going to say. If it's DeAndre Hopkins,
of course.
If it's DK, if it's Justin Jefferson, even if it's an elite receiver is going to make that catch. Tyreek Hill makes that catch.
A-Rob.
Julio. So if it's an elite receiver, he makes that catch. But he throws it to Corey Davis. It gets tipped. They bat it, and then the Patriots intercept it. Whatever. Second interception, Zach Wilson's rolling out, throws it to Corey Davis again. It was a little bit high, but Corey Davis could still catch it. It wasn't like he had to extend too far for the ball. He doesn't catch it. It's an interception. That's 2 on Zach Wilson. Now we get into the interceptions that I thought were bad. The third one was Elijah Moore is on a corner route basically, and J.C. Jackson doesn't even have to do too much. Zach is just late on the throw, and J.C. Jackson is in perfect position to intercept it. He does. And then the fourth one, Zach rolls out left, and just throws it up to no man's land, and it gets intercepted. But he also made some big-time throws, like this one throw to Braxton Berrios on the left side of the field on the sideline. That was a big-time throw. He has some big-time throws in this game, and I'm not worried. Notable quarterbacks with 4 interception games, Matthew Stafford, Troy Aikman as rookies, Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer, Andrew Luck, all had multiple 3-interception games in their rookie season. Trevor Lawrence already has 5 interceptions, and he was marketed as a generational quarterback prospect. And the Jaguars' offensive line, pass blocking, has been top 5. Run blocking has been top 10. Their offensive line has been very good this season. He has all the time to pass. He's just not getting it done. And, Justin Fields came in, threw an interception, and he also fumbled, but he recovered his own fumble. So does it make me feel better that these other rookie quarterbacks are also struggling? Absolutely. Yep. And Wilson's PFF grade is above Lawrence's and Justin Fields. So even with this horrible performance, it's still above their PFF grade. And I forgot to mention this too. Ryan Tannehill, his very first career start, threw 0 touchdowns and had 3 interceptions. So it's just 2 games into Zach Wilson's career. I'm not worried about this performance. I think people are overreacting to it because it is Zach Wilson, and it's popular to hate on him and slander him. I don't know for what reason. I don't know why, but it seems like in this quarterback class, Justin Fields is the fan favorite. Trey Lance is like neutral. Lawrence is neutral because we know what Lawrence is, right? Or at least we think we know what he is.
Like a childhood lover.
And Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are like the villains of this quarterback class. Everybody thought Mac Jones was bad, and now he looks like the best quarterback in this class so far. And Zach Wilson, anytime he does something bad, people are ready to pounce on, his mistakes. But in all actuality, he's a rookie. It's just his second game. This is not a big deal.
I agree. I think obviously the interceptions were bad. You don't like to see that, but at the same time, that offensive line isn't good. It hasn't shown the ability to be good. And this is Zach Wilson's second game against a pretty elite Patriots defense. That defense is no joke. That secondary is strong. You got J.C. Jackson, like you said. Gilmore didn't play, I believe, but still, not to mention, this defense is still strong. I'm not going to pounce on it too much because this is his second game, his first home game, I believe. So this is just this is just a beginning. Jets fans shouldn't look at this as a Sam Darnold type of situation because, like you said, Zach made some great throws, like the one to Braxton. He made some very special throws, some throws that a lot of QBs can't make. But at the same time, this still is bad. You still got to look at it and be like, all right, this is not good. You don't want to see this. Although he is a rookie, some of those throws he didn't have to make, and like you said, when he threw it to Corey Davis, an elite receiver shouldn't have catch that. You should know as a quarterback that that's not an elite receiver. You shouldn't make that throw. There's other ways that you can figure that out, but at the same time, he's a rookie. He'll get over it. So I'm not.
Denzel Mims would have made that catch.
You called him a bust.
He's the 5th receiver on the depth chart, but in terms of a contested,
he's 6'4".
In terms of a contested catch receiver, yeah. Denzel Mims would make that catch.
Well, Corey Davis is like a slot.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
He's not a slot.
He's not a jumper. He's not a guy who you could throw it up and tell him go jump and get it.
At times you can. I mean, J.C. Jackson is one of the better corners in the NFL. So
you think Denzel was getting that?
Denzel Mims is getting that. I've seen him get that. I've seen him get that.
He's the 5th receiver on the depth chart for a reason.
And you talked about, no. He's the 5th receiver because Keelan Cole beat him out, and then Jeff Smith and Braxton Berrios is a better slot, and then Jeff Smith is a better gunner on special teams. That's what they've said to the media. But you said it. They face an elite defense in the Patriots. The Panthers are an elite defense so far. They are the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL so far. Then he faces the Broncos this weekend. So Wilson has faced 3 back-to-back-to-back great defenses. Well, we'll see against Denver. Trevor Lawrence hasn't. He's faced Houston. What about Justin Fields? He faced Cincinnati. And Mac Jones facing Miami, yeah, they forced turnovers, but in terms of giving up yards, they give up yards.
Yep.
You know, so Zach Wilson has faced tough defenses. A breakout game is not far away. You know, we're going to face Atlanta and London. We're going to face Tennessee at home soon. So a breakout game from Zach Wilson is coming up soon, and people better be ready because I'm not out on Zach Wilson at all. He is still going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. I'm not worried. And this is another point. Justin Fields has Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, Bill Lazor, and John DeFilippo. He has 2 veteran quarterbacks and 2 good quarterback coaches to learn from. Trey Lance has Kyle Shanahan, and that's honestly all he needs. Jimmy G is just the cherry on top veteran to learn from. Mac Jones has Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, and Brian Hoyer, who has been in that offense forever. Trevor Lawrence, he's in the same boat as Zach Wilson. They don't have much. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has who? Darrell Bevel, Urban Meyer, a rookie head coach, and C.J. Beathard is his backup quarterback. C.J. Beathard at least has some experience starting, though. Zach Wilson has a defensive head coach. He has a rookie offensive coordinator, and he has no backup quarterback that has ever played a snap in a regular season game. Mike White has never played in a regular season game. Zach Wilson is learning on the fly. When he throws an interception, when he makes a bad read, he doesn't have a veteran quarterback telling him, okay, this is what you missed. He has to learn it on his own, on the fly. These other quarterbacks don't have to do that. So Zach Wilson is in the worst position of all these quarterbacks, of all of them, but he's still going to come out on top eventually. And I believe it. You know, he has the talent to do it, and I think this is just a part of his story.
Did you think he was in the worst situation pre-regular season?
Yeah. Number one for me, the best situation ranking him.
Niners.
I thought it was Niners or Patriots, so I thought it was Mac or
Either
Trey.
One or two of those.
For me, it was between Zach and Lawrence, the worst situations. It was between them two that I thought they had the worst situations. Got it. And Lawrence, isn't playing too good either right now. So, that's what I'm saying. With rookie quarterbacks, we have to be patient.
Yeah. It's
not the end of the world. I think Zach Wilson is still going to be great. He's shown flashes of that. And this is not the first time that he has seen adversity. At BYU, he was almost not named starter. He had to fight for his job, and he won that. He got booed at BYU too. So this is not new to Zach. He's faced adversity before, and I want to push back on this narrative. Because Zach Wilson had a bad game, because he threw 4 interceptions, everybody is saying they should have never gotten rid of Sam Darnold. Wow, the Jets are so dumb for doing that. The Jets got rid of Sam Darnold because they didn't want to pick up his 5th-year option, and they wanted to start over with a quarterback on a rookie deal. And Zach Wilson is also more talented than Sam Darnold. Why is nobody mentioning the fact that the Panthers got rid of Teddy Bridgewater for Sam Darnold? And right now, Teddy Bridgewater is 2-0 with the Broncos, and he looks better than Sam Darnold so far. Everybody wants to mention the mistake the Jets made. Why is nobody mentioning the mistake that the Panthers possibly made by letting go of Teddy and picking up Sam?
I think they're doing that because Carolina's still 2-0. So it's like, yeah, we gave up Teddy, but we're still, 2-0. Obviously, down the season, you could figure it out and you could be more. But, I think the narrative should be dead in general because, like you said, Zach is far more talented, and they wanted to start over on a rookie deal. They didn't want to pay Sam Darnold because he didn't earn that contract. So obviously, the narrative should be dead. But that's just people trying to, jump on and make this astounding, stupid narrative to just push down on Zach Wilson when he's a rookie. This is his second game.
Yeah, I think it's a stupid narrative in general because it's 2 different situations. I mean, the Jets have a completely different coaching staff.
I think Zach could do the same thing Darnold was doing if he was in Carolina, honestly.
I think he could do the same thing. I think it would be better. It would be more explosive.
Yeah, I think
honestly,
the same thing.
They're not asking Sam to do much in Carolina. They're asking him to read quick.
Just be a good quarterback.
Not even. I mean, they're just asking him to make short reads. They're not asking him to think too much on offense.
Yep.
And that's why he's playing great. later on in the season, when we see Sam in situations where he has to think more,
Tampa Bay,
we're going to see how he really looks. I mean, right now it's against the Jets and then against the Saints, who had 7 starters missing on defense. So I don't think it's too much to be impressed about. But I think the narrative in general is pretty short-sighted and it's dumb. But that's just something that I've seen before. And another narrative I've seen is that the Jets are somehow this dumpster fire. I mean, as an organization, its history, yes, they are. But we have a new coaching staff. We have new people in the building. This isn't the same old Jets. Zach Wilson throwing 4 interceptions has nothing to do with the Jets as an organization or play calling or offensive line or receivers. The offensive line actually graded really well against the Patriots. Zach Wilson just threw bad balls. It is what it is. I mean, one of them Corey Davis should have caught, but 3 of his interceptions, it's just he should have never thrown them. And now it's on him. So that's why I think this narrative about, Zach Wilson, the Jets are ruining him already. I mean, that's dead. Zach Wilson was bad. He has to get better. Yep. Don't blame the organization for a quarterback's bad mistakes in a game. It's just ridiculous to me in general, that comparison. A rookie quarterback that is making his first start this Sunday is Justin Fields. Justin Fields is starting against the Cleveland Browns. And against Cincinnati, he played because Dalton went out.
Yep.
He completed 46% of his passes. He had 60 yards passing. He had an interception. He also fumbled but recovered that fumble, something that Carolina fans wish Cam Newton would have done in the Super Bowl against the Broncos. But Justin Fields had a 40-yard touchdown drop by Allen Robinson. A lot of receivers dropped passes from him as well. So the stats don't tell the complete story. But how do you think Justin Fields will do against Cleveland in his first start?
The bias in me wants him to go out there guns blazing and play amazing. But looking at Cleveland, the defense hasn't played as well as it should be playing. But that's still, the names are still out there. They still have a really good defense. Myles Garrett I believe, is going to feast on that offensive line. They still got Denzel Ward out there. They still got young corners. It's going to be a tough outing. And I think, with the receivers dropping those passes, he has to just get that chemistry in play. But I think Justin Fields is going to play all right. I don't think the Bears are going to win that game. But, having an elite receiver always makes things comfortable for you. And David Montgomery is not a bad running back either. So having those guys in your pocket, and Terry Cohen, who, you could dink and dunk it to him. So it's always comfortable to have that. Darnell Mooney's out there. So he has solid weapons. So I think he'll be okay. It's just if the receivers can catch the ball, if he can make some solid reads. That interception, it wasn't a good interception, but I'm looking for him to be a little bit more comfortable. I don't think he was expected to play that week. He was kind of like nervous because, that's his first time playing. But I think this week he'll be a little bit more prepared.
Get ready for Justin Fields' overreactions after this game. Because, you believe in Cleveland as a defense. I personally don't. I think their pass rush is okay, with Garrett and Jackson and, Jadeveon Clowney. But like I mentioned earlier, they have the 23rd pass defense, the 9th best run defense, and the 22nd best defense in terms of points allowed. Their defense is not good. If the Browns can neutralize the Bears running game, all that's going to do is force Fields to pass, which I think a lot of Bears fans want him to do. They want to see how good this guy is. And Justin Fields is going to play really well. I think he's going to play really well. He has Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet. You mentioned receivers and the running backs he has. He has a plethora of weapons. Cincinnati and Cleveland are not too far off in terms of how, where they rank defensively. They're not too far off. Cincinnati has a sneaky good defense. Justin Fields is going to have a great game. If I were to project stats, I think he goes 230 for 2 touchdowns. I think he does that. And it's going to be really hard for Matt Nagy to bench him after this. But let's just say hypothetically Justin Fields does bad. He has the perfect excuse to bench him after this, because you just say Andy Dalton was hurt, but he's our starter now, and then, he plays. And I don't like what they're doing with Fields, because I do think that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are just trying to save face and save their jobs for next year.
Me too.
that's why I think they're not playing Fields. That's what I believe right now. Because if they played Fields and he doesn't play up to his standards or he plays well, it gives the Bears front office more of a reason to get rid of this new coaching staff to bring in other people to develop Fields better. But if you don't play Fields at all, you can just say we're developing him. Now the front office doesn't want to fire you because they don't want to ruin his development. So it's a tricky situation, but I do think Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are trying to save face, and I think Chicago right now is tired of them running that organization. They should be gone. I'm not high on Matt Nagy at all, but I do think Justin Fields is going to have a really good game against Cleveland.
Do you expect the Bears win?
See, that's tough. It depends because, Baker Mayfield, do I trust Baker to light up that Bears defense? I don't. That running game can, though. It really is about the Cleveland's defense,
yep.
Right? Because you think they're going to do good, I think they're going to do bad. If they do good, they should easily win this game.
They should dominate them.
They should. But I don't think they're going to do good. I love the free agent signings they made, but it just goes to show Troy Hill and John Johnson outside of Brandon Staley's scheme don't look so promising.
Yeah.
So, and even Denzel Ward is a great corner, but outside of him, Greedy Williams, unproven. So
Greg Newsome.
They don't have much guys to really, much guys in the secondary to really match up with what the Bears have, because I think Darnell Mooney is a good receiver. I think Allen Robinson, if you move him around and you motion him away from Denzel Ward, can have a really spectacular game. So it really just depends on what you think Cleveland's defense is. I don't think they're very good, so I think Fields is going to have a great game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should. You look at the defense on paper; it looks great. They should be better than what they are. I'm not gonna hold fault for them against that Chiefs game because in the first half that defense played elite, and second half they choked. But that game against Houston, I'm gonna hold that again because they let that game be too close. They should have dominated defensively and offensively. They let that game be too close for too long. And now this game, you're playing a rookie who basically he hasn't really played meaningful snaps yet in the NFL. I mean, he had those 11 attempts, but that was because Andy Dalton got hurt. He shouldn't really even be playing right now. So you're playing a rookie. You're playing Allen Robinson. You're playing an elite receiver. You have an elite corner to match up with him. And you're playing a pretty bad offensive line. So I think this should be a dominant defensive effort. I shouldn't expect nothing less.
Yeah, I agree. Cleveland, coming into the season, was projected to be a Super Bowl contending team.
They haven't looked like that.
Yeah, their defense hasn't looked good, and Baker Mayfield is what he is. So, that's holding them back. But like I said before, I do think Fields is going to have a great game. We're just going to see what happens. I do think we're going to see a lot of Justin Fields overreactions after this first game.
No, he's like a fan favorite.
He is. I think he's the quarterback that has the most fans out of this draft class. There's no doubt about it. And I think it's because of QB1, the show on Netflix, because he was in it.
Definitely. So, that's not even why I was a fan of him. I just liked him in Ohio State. He just looked nice.
And Ohio State is a big school, so a lot of attention is on them.
Hell yeah. And then when he beat Trevor Lawrence, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm on the wagon.
So now to end off the show, we're going to end it off with NFL Pick'em Week 3. Week 2, NFL Pick'em, I went 10-6, I believe. That's what I went. I think I went 10-6. But now it's on to NFL Pick'em Week 3, our Week 3 predictions. Comment down your predictions down below, and let's see, who gets them right, who gets them wrong. So first game, Panthers versus Texans, Thursday Night Football. Who wins?
I'm going to take the Panthers. No Tyrod Taylor. They've looked really good with Tyrod Taylor. Honestly, Brandon Cooks has been balling. But I'm going to go with Carolina. They've beaten on bad teams for the most part, so they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina. They have an elite defense so far. I don't think they faced the best competition so far. But the Texans aren't great competition, so I think they're going to win this game easily on Thursday night and move to 3-0. Chargers versus Chiefs.
Like I said before, I trust in Patrick Mahomes to figure it out. Last week, I feel like I said, they have a chip on their shoulder. They didn't like how they finished that game. So I think they're going to come in, division game, and they're going to win this one.
The Chargers will get the upset in this game. I think they need this win more than the Chiefs because they have a tough stretch going forward. And Justin Herbert, so far in these two games on the stat sheet,
Yep.
it doesn't look exceptional. I think this game, his stats are going to look exceptional against that Chiefs defense, which looks not so good right now. Next game, Cardinals versus Jaguars.
Oh, this is an easy one. Arizona looks amazing, and I'm gonna take them. They're probably gonna put up 30+ on Jacksonville. Easily. K1's gonna continue to dominate. He's gonna put on his MVP campaign, and he's gonna get the W.
Yeah, I got Arizona too. I think this is a pretty easy pick. The Jaguars aren't a good team. Let's see how Trevor Lawrence does, though. I think Jaguars fans just want to see Trevor Lawrence do good.
Yep.
And Arizona right now, they look like a legit team. They could move to 3-0 as well, and I think they will do that. I'm picking Arizona as well. The Bears versus Browns.
I'm gonna take the Browns. I like them. I like the matchup. The Browns have the better offense. They should have the better defense, and I think Baker gets this one.
Even though I said Justin Fields will have a great game, I think the Browns will win this game still. I think Fields will play well, but the Browns are going to win. They just have too much talent top to bottom. Odell is making his return. It's going to be tough, though, against Jalen Johnson, who has been a lockdown corner this season. Let's see how Odell looks, but they got a lot of pieces. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Schwartz, you got Njoku and Austin Hooper. So they have some weapons, and that running game we know is elite. It's top tier. So I have the Browns in this one, and this is going to be a great game, though. I think it is going to be a great game. I mean, the Browns were close with the Texans last week.
Yep.
So I think the Bears can make this a game. The next game, Washington versus Bills.
I actually really like this game. This is the tough one because Washington's defense is elite. They didn't look elite last week against New York, but against Buffalo, I feel like they have to play their best. But I think I'm gonna take Buffalo. I think this is where Josh Allen starts his MVP tour and he starts to dominate.
I think you're right. I think the Bills will win this game. First 2 weeks, he hasn't looked so great. He hasn't looked like what he looked like last year in 2020. Yep. And Washington with Taylor Heineke shocked everybody. But the Giants right now, we're still in a wait-and-see period. Are the Giants legit? Is their defense legit? Because they haven't looked too good so far. They rank as one of the worst defenses in football. We know the Bills aren't that.
Yeah.
With Sean McDermott, that defense has been one of the top defenses the past couple of years. So this is a big test for Taylor Heineke, and I do think he comes back down to earth a little bit against the Bills. Colts versus Titans.
This game just depends on Wentz. If Wentz plays for me, like me personally, I'm going to take the Colts. I like that they started clicking late. They felt the energy. The defense started to feed off the offense against the Rams. So if he does play, I feel like you said with the Chargers that this is a must-win for the Colts. This is a must-win. They can't go 0-3. But if he doesn't play, I'm going to take the Titans.
This is a must-win game for the Colts, and you hit it right on the nail. If Carson Wentz plays, I have the Colts. If he doesn't play, I have the Titans. Yeah. And Carson Wentz, he hasn't been bad so far. Contrary to what you want to see on Twitter, Carson Wentz has been playing pretty well. So I think against Tennessee, who has one of the worst defenses in football right now, they would win this game if Carson Wentz plays. But if he doesn't play, they don't have a chance. I would have the Titans if Wentz doesn't play. Next game, the Saints versus the Patriots.
I like this game. I just wish MT was playing. It would have made this cornerback receiver matchup so much fun. But I think I'm going to go with New England. They're more disciplined right now. Jameis Winston's still trying to figure the offense out. And, he's missing guys. New England, that defense is stout. Mac Jones, they have him, playing really well. And that offense is pretty simple at the moment. So I'm going to go with them.
After Winston threw 5 touchdowns in week 1, he came back down to earth against Carolina, throwing 2 interceptions. And I think New England, their pass rush isn't as good as Carolina's, but their secondary is. And Jameis Winston getting confused on some looks, not having a number 1 receiver, Bill Belichick coaching that defense. We could see Jameis Winston go even more down to earth and have like a 2-3 pick game. And now there would be panic in New Orleans about that. So I do think New England will win this game. And if Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play, that back end for the Saints is vulnerable.
Yep.
And I think this is a game that we could see Mac Jones be let loose and throw the ball down the field because that's been the criticism on him so far. I think it's unwarranted, but I think this could be the game where he has that big performance. Next game, Falcons versus Giants.
I think the Giants get their first win of the season. Falcons, we put 35 on them. They just aren't good. New York, and I was watching this video of New York and how Joe judged that offense. I think Kurt Warner he's made the video how simple and boring and how bad this offense has been. They've been running a pretty repetitive offense, but I think against the Falcons, they can do that and still get the W.
And I agree. I think the Giants' defense is going to look much better this game. Leonard Williams, 2020 had a great defensive season. So far has been nowhere to be seen after getting a huge, humongous contract. And that was a knock on Leonard in New York with the Jets, is that he doesn't give all of his effort all the time. And now the Giants are seeing that right now. Their defense has come back down to earth even after adding talent on that defense. But Daniel Jones has not been bad this year. He ranks as the 6th best quarterback according to PFF. Even in his games, the box score, if you just look at the stats, his stats aren't bad. So he can have a big game against Atlanta, and then, the Giants can get their first one of the season. And I'm picking the Giants to win the first game. Yep. Next game, the Bengals versus Steelers.
I think this is going to be a competitive game. I like Cincinnati's defense. It has been sneaky good. Their offense has been just as good. It's an explosive offense. Jamar Chase has scored in back-to-back weeks, so that's a good sign for a rookie. Pittsburgh, they're banged up right now. Big Ben, he's probably going to play, but he's still hurt. He said he hasn't thrown the ball since that last game on Sunday. That defense, you don't know who's going to play. Joe Hayden's questionable. Devin Bush is questionable. T.J. Watt is questionable. So I think I'm going to go with Cincinnati getting the upset. I think Pittsburgh will still be the favorites, but I like Joe Burrow in that offense.
The Bengals versus the Bears, who were a legit defense. They didn't look too good. They couldn't move the ball down the field. Late in the game, Joe Burrow threw 2 touchdowns, and that put them in position to, tie the game or even win the game. But they didn't capitalize on it. I think the Steelers are a way better defense than Chicago. And we saw last year before Joe Burrow got hurt when he faced Pittsburgh wiped the floor with Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati got too much better to say they can hang with Pittsburgh. So I think the Steelers win this one pretty easily. Next game, the Ravens versus Lions.
Oh, yeah. The Baltimore, I think this is a stat game for Baltimore. I like to call stat games where they just upload the stats. Lamar's going to have fun, do his thing. And that defense on Baltimore is going to get a big upgrade this week.
Yeah, I have the Ravens. Not too much to explain about that. Next game, Jets versus Broncos.
Oh, no offense to you guys, but I got Denver. That defense is just too elite. I'm just interested this week to see how Zach plays against his defense, but I got Denver.
I have Denver, but Zach Wilson is going to have a big-time game. He's going to have a big-time game against a defense who people say is a big-time defense. He's going to bounce back big time.
Is that a fact?
That is 100% fact.
Right.
Going into New England, I was scared about facing the Patriots. Denver, I don't feel that same anxiety towards the game. I think he's going to have a big-time game. Dolphins versus Raiders.
Honestly, whether Tua played or not, I was going to take the Raiders. I just think they've been clicking on all cylinders. They got guys playing above what they usually are graded in the NFL. They're playing for one another. Oh, excuse you. Darren Waller is a beast. Derek Carr has looked like one of the best QBs in the league so far. John Gruden looks amazing again. I'm going to go with Oakland. I think Las Vegas, excuse me. I think they're going to get this W. If Tua plays or not, honestly.
You said excuse you. Didn't even say bless you.
Sorry.
But I have the Raiders. I think same thing. Tua, I actually do think if Tua played, I would have thought differently about this game. The fact that Jacoby's playing, I think he's much worse than Tua.
Yep.
I think Tua's average, but Jacoby's just bottom of the barrel type of starting quarterback. Raiders going to win this game, and if they don't, I would be shocked. You never know. The Dolphins' defense could come up huge, but I got the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Buccaneers versus Rams.
No AB this week, so, just Evans and Godwin. Evans kind of picked it up last week, but in that first week against Dallas, Evans ain't really looked good. AB looked like the old AB of old, but I'm going to go with Los Angeles. I think, I like Matthew Stafford. I like Cooper Kupp. They've looked amazing. Robert Woods. I don't think Carlton Davis is playing this week, too, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to go with the Rams. I like their offense. I like that defense. They have the best corner in the NFL. They have the best defensive lineman in the NFL. And I feel like this is the one team that can really challenge Tampa in the NFC.
I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not thinking too much about it. Matthew Stafford didn't look great against the Colts.
Yep.
Now against the Buccaneers, how he's going to look, we're going to see. And even without AB, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski looks like a top tight end again in the NFL. Scotty Miller, can't sleep on him. He's a very good receiver. I think Tampa wins this game and shows everybody why they should still be favorites to win it all. Seahawks versus Vikings.
Like I said before, I think the Vikings bounce back and get this W this week. I like the matchup. Their defense is really good on paper. That front seven has been elite for the past 2 weeks, and I think they'll continue to be that. It's just if that secondary can hold up against those wide receivers. But I think if the front seven puts that pain in, like I know they can, then the Vikings are going to win this game.
I think it's the Vikings' game to win. Seahawks, I like them as a team, but I just feel like the Vikings are desperate to win right now. That's why they're even playing Dalvin Cook, and I think they'll get this win on Sunday. Then Sunday Night Football, Packers versus 49ers.
The Niners have handed Aaron Rodgers the last 2 seasons, completely handed, but it hasn't been the same team. But that same defensive line is still there, and that's the thing that gives Green Bay troubles. Mostert is out, so that running game does kill Green Bay. But I think I'm going to go with the Niners. I think Jimmy G can get this win. I think that defense is still elite regardless of missing Jason Verrett and missing a couple guys on offense. But I like them. I'm going to go with them.
I'm going with the Packers. And I understand the 49ers have had the Packers number, but Jimmy G has not thrown a pass over 10 yards this season, I believe. He's not been lighting the world on fire. They almost lost to Detroit. Philadelphia gave them a game as well. It was a tough game. The Packers are going to win this one. Aaron Rodgers is going to beat the 49ers. Then Monday Night Football, Eagles versus Cowboys, NFC East matchup. Who wins?
Damn, we got Dallas this fast. Monday night. Brandon Graham is such a huge loss. He's the heart and soul of our defense. He's the heart and soul of our team, honestly. I think we're still – and Brandon Brooks is on IR too. Again, he's our best offensive lineman. I think those 2 losses are going to really show this Monday, and it's going to be huge. I'm going to pick Dallas just because of the fact that we're still trying to figure out how to replace Brandon Graham and Brandon Brooks.
I'm going with Dallas too, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think it's going to be. The Eagles are a good team, and those tackles, Lane Johnson and
Jordan Mailata,
the guy they paid, I know they paid him some big money.
Yeah.
They're going to hold up. And if they can keep Hurts clean, he's going to have a good game. Trayvon Diggs versus Devonta Smith. Let's see who wins that matchup. Jalen Reagor was pretty good last week. He dropped it. A touchdown got called back. Quez Watkins was good too. I think the Eagles are getting underrated, and the Cowboys, that win against the Chargers wasn't inspiring. So I have the Cowboys in this game, but I think this game is going to be really close. And if the Eagles were to win, I wouldn't be surprised.
Agreed.
And that's going to do it for NFL Pick'em Week 3. Throw down your predictions down in the comment section down below, and let's see who you got for Week 3. And to end off the show, we're going to answer some questions. So these are weekly questions that were provided to us from our Patreon supporters. They are in our Discord chat. So what we do is that when you subscribe to our Patreon or via YouTube, you come in our Discord chat and we format everything, topic suggestions, questions, and each episode we are going to answer these questions. They are weekly questions, and it's going to be at the end of the show. We're going to answer them. So first question up.
How many questions we got?
6.
Oh, okay.
So
Are
what?
they like quick and rapid, or are we?
It depends, honestly. It depends on what you want to say.
Got it.
So this first question is for you, and it's from Hikari.
Oh.
What NBA/college team do you want to coach?
Wait. Oh, so these are like questions for like us personally?
It's personal questions. It's sports questions. It could be whatever.
Dope. NBA or college? All right, I'll give you both. The college I would want to coach would be either Syracuse or St. John's. Those would be the 2 colleges I would want to coach. Syracuse, obviously, because that's my favorite college, and St. John's because I want to recruit in our area. I feel like we have a lot of unearthed talent in this area that could be playing Division I basketball, and we could get these guys out the streets. A lot of guys who play in high school end up going JUCO or prep and then come back here and then they just give up. I feel like I can change that if I went to St. John's. NBA, Golden State. Of course, I would love to be the head coach of Golden State. If not Golden State, I'll probably want to be the head coach of a team that's never won a ring. I don't. So probably the Kings or Portland, and then try to just bring that to the organization.
So you want to get fired in your first year? That's what you're telling me?
Nah, I just try to build something, try to be different and stuff. Don't hate. Don't do that.
If I was a coach, I would want to go to a better NBA team.
For real?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to start something different. I don't want to follow anybody. I want to be the best. So I'd start low.
But if you go to a bad team, it's a bad team for a reason.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to fix that. I'm a fixer. I want to fix that.
I feel like coaching college is much easier to fix culture than NBA. There's too much variables in the NBA.
It depends because if you're not a big blue, it's so hard to recruit. It's like extremely hard. That's why you got to get the low end talent and then just build. Exactly. You guys built from the ground up. You stayed around New York and then you ended up getting Isaiah Whitehead and you just changed the program. And then Miles Powell and then all that. So it's like if you're not a big blue, it's really hard.
And Miles Powell was chubby. So he wasn't even like a Briscoe recruit.
Yeah.
But he had a better career than Briscoe, college
definitely.
career.
Hell yeah. He was a beast. That's because Briscoe wanted to go to a big blue. Should have came to Syracuse.
Or Seton Hall.
See?
Or St. John's.
See?
And Corey Sanders went to Rutgers.
Yeah, that was bad. Shamori Pons went to St. John's. He's from New York. And then Kemba, he went to UConn, changed the program there.
So this is another question for you, Riv. Yeah. Well, it's not for you, but it's for you because I'm not going to answer it. Burner Hoops asked this question. College players to look out for this season. I don't watch college basketball. That's why this question's for you. So which college basketball player should these guys look out for next season? Should Burner Hoops look out for next season? Should the fans pick a side look out for next season? Who do you got your eyes on?
I got 3. I'm going to give you Jaden Ivey from Purdue. He played in the USA team. Really good, really athletic. He can play defense, obviously. And then Jalen Duren. He's going to Memphis. Imani Bates. Just the whole Memphis team, of course, to look at because that team, getting Imani Bates, who's going to be playing point guard this year, is incredible. Jalen Duren, who has a high motor. He's like just a 10 times better Montrezl Harrell. Like so much better. At this young age, he's going to be huge. And then a third person, if I had to pick a third person, I'll probably pick Caleb Love out of UNC. I think his rookie year, not rookie, but his freshman year last year was kind of a bit underwhelming. But this year, he has the size, he has the frame, he has the handles, he has the jump shot. He just needs to put it all together, the IQ. But those are the Memphis, the whole team, Caleb Love out of UNC, and then Jaden Ivey out of Purdue. Those are the guys.
So no Chet Holmgren, no Paolo Banchero.
Those are obvious ones. I wanted to give him some guys who people won't know.
I'll give you one. Jared Rhoden.
He goes to Seton Hall. What is he, like a defender or something like that?
Well, his first couple of seasons, he was a 3-and-D wing.
Yeah.
When Powell left, he had to become much more of an offensive initiator and creator. He averaged about like 15, 16 last year. And now with Mamu and Powell not there, he has to be the best player on the team.
Is Bryce still there? Bryce Aiken?
Nah, he's not there. Yes. Shavar Reynolds isn't there either. So they all left. So we'll see how good they are this year. Yeah, it's going to be tough. So the third question is from MH Friends, the Cleveland Browns fan in the Discord chat. Shout out to you. And this question is, how long does a championship high last? And what he means by that is that, for example, 2019, the Raptors won the championship. Their fans and that organization can live off of that championship for years, for 10 years even, for maybe even more. But for an organization like the Lakers, they have to win soon. It has to be soon. For the Kansas City Chiefs, they're expected to win every single year. So that one championship just isn't good enough for them. So how long does a championship high last for teams?
I think you kind of answered it. Depends on the organization, but it also depends on the situation. I feel like if Kawhi would have stayed, they would have expected more championships. Same with LA. They're known to win championships. Boston is known to win championships. But I feel like if I had to really base it off, I think a championship is your lifetime. Whatever you've seen, that's how high it is because not a lot of people get that feeling, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, and I have not seen a championship in my lifetime. I'm 23 years old, and there's going to be Chicago Bulls fans before 1991 who didn't see a championship, and then after 1998 who didn't see a championship. So it's like it really just whatever you've seen in your lifetime, I feel like you can ride that high for a while because the championship is hard to win.
I think that it does depend on the team. Like, for example, if the Jets win a championship, you know, even if they just win one, I can live off that forever.
That's me, Philly.
You know, I would still want them to be good, but I can say I saw them win a championship, and I'm okay with that.
Yep.
You know, but I guess for other teams, it'd be different. Like for the Patriots, they're expected to win every year. You know, Tom Brady leaving, you know, obviously has diminished expectations, but they were expected to win every year. But I think you're right. I did answer the question in the way that it does vary from team to team. You know, I would say low market organizations can live off that high far longer than big market ones because the LAs and New Yorks, they're all expected to win all the time.
Even the big markets, though, there's only two teams that have won consistently every decade, every other year, and that's LA and Boston. You know, I think the next 3 or 4 teams is us, Chicago, and the San Antonio Spurs, and we've won in certain parts of the NBA lifespan, you know? So it depends, but it also depends on your lifetime because in the 80s, Bulls fans we expect the chip. Even now, we don't expect the chip. But it was in the 90s, it was like, we can't live off this because we expect other chips. So I guess it just depends on the era of the basketball you live in and then, of course, your team.
And next question is from Jay Aqua. Thoughts on the Ben Simmons situation and how much is Philly going to drop off?
The Ben Simmons situation, it's just a lot of diva stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of coaches not believing in you. It's a lot of you doing it to yourself and not taking ownership, not taking blame. Ben Simmons is the reason for Philly, not the reason, but one of the main reasons for Philly blundering that lead against Atlanta. He has yet to take responsibility. His coach blatantly came out in a postgame and said, I don't know if this is a guy that we can win a championship with. When a coach says that, he has completely lost trust in you. But I also think Philly's going to drop off without Ben Simmons if they don't get another guy in to fill that role because defensively he's one of their best guys. He's one of the best playmakers. And he's just one of those guys that, you know, he was like a jack of all trades. He did a little bit of everything for that Philly team. And you need a guy like that or somebody to replicate that. And losing him just for absolutely nothing is going to drop Philly to about 5th or 6th seed in the NBA.
Yeah, I think that, let's say Ben Simmons gets traded for John Wall. You know, I think John Wall, considering his health, they'll probably be a 6th-seeded team in the Eastern Conference. And even if you account for Joel Embiid's health, if both of them are injured, if Embiid gets hurt, now we're talking about a team that could miss the playoffs without Ben Simmons, you know, which would be huge. And my overall thoughts on the Ben Simmons situation, I actually had a weird dream about Ben Simmons the other day that I'm not going to share because I think it's a little bit too it's too grotesque.
Yeah.
But it gave me perspective on how fans and the media treat these players and how mental health could be a serious thing because just to give you a sneak peek of what happened in my dream without, you know, saying it or blurting it out, you know, all the scrutiny Ben Simmons is facing right now, you know, what if something were to happen to Ben Simmons?
Yep.
You know, everybody would feel bad about what happened because they contributed to what was being said. You know, so I think right now we are in an era where we don't treat these athletes like humans. And even though Ben Simmons has not lived up to expectations, he has acted like a diva, I still think there is a line that can't be crossed that far too many people in the media that, you know, have big platforms cross, and even people on the internet cross. And I think there is a fine line because at the end of the day, it is basketball. Like, yeah, it's your team and it's the NBA and they make a lot of money, but it is basketball. Like, honestly, it's not too much. Keep it
strictly basketball.
Yeah, like it is basketball, so it shouldn't be too serious. But I just think it's an unfortunate situation because Ben Simmons was supposed to be a part of Philly's plans long term, and it's obviously not going to happen. He said he's not going to report to training camp. Doc Rivers came out and said that he wants him to be there, and he's trying to convince him. But Doc Rivers looks like a fool because Doc Rivers is the same guy who, after they lost in the playoffs, was asked, can you win a championship with Ben Simmons as your point guard? And Doc Rivers said, I don't know the answer to that. Now you're coming out and you're saying, we can win a championship with Ben Simmons. Now you're backtracking on everything you said just to suck up to Ben Simmons so he can come back to Philly. Now we're seeing how desperate Philly is to not lose Ben Simmons because this is the worst his trade value is going to be ever. Yep. And if I'm Ben Simmons, I don't want to come back. I don't have anything against Ben Simmons for not wanting to come back. The fan base has trashed me. My coach has trashed me. The organization has made it known how they feel about me. Why would I want to come back to that? Forget about trying to prove the fan base wrong and trying to take accountability. I want to be where I'm wanted. And Philadelphia, they say their fans are passionate and, they have so much love for the team. They are one of the most toxic fan bases in the NBA.
Yep.
No player wants to deal with that. So forget about all that trying to prove the fans wrong because you guys have made it so Ben Simmons doesn't want to play there anymore. And has Ben Simmons contributed to that? No doubt about it. But have Philly fans made it far worse? Absolutely. So, and Rich Paul even said he wants Ben Simmons to have his own team. So,
wow.
He wants Ben Simmons to be in a position like a Houston where you can go 5 out, 4 out, and you can go with C. Wood and KPJ and Jalen Green.
So basically Sacramento and Houston are on the table.
Probably.
Golden State is off the table.
I think Minnesota would be great too with D'Lo and Edwards and Cat. That would be great too.
I agree with everything you said. Be happy. And he doesn't look like he's happy in Philly. At the end of the day, he's still a human being. He still has feelings. I feel like if you keep it strictly basketball, then it should be no issue. But people have stepping out of line.
And now this is a question from me. It's from Saucy. College quarterback prospects 2022. So I haven't cultivated a list of who I think is the best because, I don't get into scouting until after the football season is over. But Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati looks really good. He has a live and active arm. I haven't seen too much of him, but he looks like the real deal. Spencer Rattler, I don't like him. I'll just flat out say it. I watched him on QB1, the show, and maybe it's because they did a poor job of portraying who he is as a person, but watching that show, I got the sense that he's a cocky, arrogant person, and I just didn't vibe with his vibe. And because of that, he can have the most talent, all of this other stuff, but just him, his personality, I don't know if that's going to succeed in the NFL. I could be totally wrong about him. But even in college, he makes a lot of boneheaded decisions, and I've seen a lot of interceptions that are just like, what are you doing? So I'm not too high on Spencer Rattler. Sam Howell, so far doesn't look the best, but you got to understand he lost Dammy Brown. He lost Daz Newsome. He lost Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. I mean, he has no talent around him right now. NC is taking a big drop off, but I think Sam Howell is an okay quarterback. Maybe he's getting a bit overrated, but I think overall he's an okay quarterback. Malik Wills, haven't seen too much of him from Liberty. He has an explosive arm as well, but I haven't seen too much. Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. Daniel Jeremiah, I've heard him talk about Matt Corral and how he has his arm reminds him of Zach Wilson and these other, great quarterbacks that have great arms. Matt Corral this year has gotten off to a hot start, but last year he had one game where he threw 5 interceptions and another one where he threw 6. So I'm going to have to watch the film for myself and see how good this Matt Corral guy is. Then you got Carson Strong out of Nevada. And he seems like he's flying up radars right now. I haven't seen too much, but I'm definitely going to get in tune with him. But the quarterbacks I'm not high on, Derrick King out of Miami. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I think he's a good college quarterback, but not an NFL. Brock Purdy, not sold on him whatsoever. And Jaden Daniels out of Arizona State.
JT?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. No, not JT Barrett. Jaden Daniels, freshman season as a true freshman, was phenomenal. But he dropped off his sophomore year, and right now I watched him against I forgot the team I watched them against, but I just watched them play this Saturday against BYU.
Oh, okay.
They faced BYU. Jaden Daniels didn't look too impressive. I think he's a bit too slender right now for my taste. I think he has to thicken up a bit and get more strength. So, Jaden Daniels, I think he could be good, but right now I'm not too sold on him. So that's what I think about these college quarterback prospects right now.
What about Bryce Young?
Oh, I don't think he's going to be in the draft.
Nah, I just wanted to know what your thoughts on him.
I mean, Bryce Young looks good. I mean, I haven't seen too much of him either, but he looks good right now.
Dude is a beast.
So this is going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Pick a Side Pod. On Instagram, it's Pick a Side Podcast. On TikTok, it's at Pick a Side Podcast. And if you guys want to be in our Discord and ask us these weekly questions and suggest us topics and also get access to our exclusive episodes, you can subscribe to our Patreon or via YouTube membership, and we'd be happy to have you guys along for the journey. We are at 17 Patreons right now, so that means a lot to us that you guys are supporting us like you do. Eventually we want this to become a full-time thing, and we want this to, materialize into something more than just a part-time thing, and you guys are helping us do that in many ways and supporting us on YouTube or, Patreon, whatever you guys are doing, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, streaming platforms. It means a lot to us. So thank you, and that's going to do it for episode 114, and we'll see you next time.